Hi everyone. So at least in Winters, California, where I'm at, zone 9, night temperatures are at 50 and they're going to be staying that way. So right now really is the earliest time to plant your tomatoes. If you've planted them already, it's okay. You always just want to make sure those temperatures are 50 because then the fear of getting a late frost or them being stunted a little bit is less. So it's on the early side, but I'm planting. Something else today that's going on is the wind. So ideally you would not plant on a windy day. Wind dries plants out even more than like hot temperatures, but the wind is holding. So, if it was really consistent blustery winds, I would hold off planting. So planting a tomato is pretty basic, but it is slightly different than planting other plants. Like most plants, you never want to plant below the root ball or above the root ball, especially woody plants. You never want soil right up against woody stems. But with tomatoes, I'm just going to pop this one out. So, you just sort of squeeze the sides, right? You never just want to yank, tip it over. There's some good roots right there. You can, oh, Mama Kitty. Hello, Mama. She wants to be on. She's going to help. This one, the root system is decent. It's not great. So just, loosen it tiny bit. So tomatoes have something called adventitious roots. They could form roots all along the stem. And the idea is that if you bury the stem deeper, they'll form more roots, a bigger root system, and get established faster. So it's not a must that you plant it deeper, but I'll just show you. I'm going to snip off any leaves that would be below the soil. Just going to snip them off. Right? And then of course I'm going to dig my hole. This is nice new potting soil in my new raised beds. So it's really nice to dig into. So just a deeper hole, and then I'm going to bury that whole entire stem. Now, if this was in ground, I would take some compost and mix it into the native soil, but this is brand new potting soil, really nice and loose with nutrients. And see how I buried it right up? So only a small portion of the tomato is above the soil line, so it's going to set those roots down. I like to add compost around my plants, and it acts as a mulch. You could use straw. Not a lot of nutrient benefits there, but it does keep the moisture in. You could also use wood chips as well, but compost is going to add nutrients. It's just going to buffer the soil from the sun, so you're going to have to water less. Brings the earthworms up closer because it keeps the soil cooler. And so about 3 inches ideally around it. With this brand new potting soil, it's not as a must, but my in-ground beds for sure I always mulch. And then you're going to water it in, especially since temperature is supposed to be in the 90s. You're going to want to water it more often, get it established, then you'll go onto your regular watering schedule, which should be ideally less frequent but deeper watering to get that root system down. So that is how you plant a tomato. And remember, get your cages up sooner than later, because once a tomato gets pretty big, it is hard to get the tomato cage over. And you notice the size of these. I'm shrinking with age, so I used to be 5'6", and of course these are raised up a bit, but this is cattle fencing, and these have been soldered into a barrel, but I know people who use zip ties. So for storage, you just snip the zip ties and they lay flat, and you can put them in your garage, slide them along. But remember, tomatoes get big, so do something that's sturdy. And to prevent them from falling over, you could stick rebar in and zip tie rebar so they're in there nice and snug. But I find that nursery tomato cages just too small. So hopefully that gives you a few tips on planting your tomatoes, what you could do now. Thanks.